Hello, and welcome to the Thyroid Warrior podcast. I'm Ebony, and I'm here as your wellness facilitator. I'm going to be sharing my experiences in managing Hashimoto's disease. I really hope that it'll help you on your personal journey. Keep in mind, however, this does not substitute for medical advice. It is only for your information and motivational purposes only. Now, let's get started. Hey everyone. So today I want to talk to you about a topic that I was really surprised about that could actually impact how you feel and your thyroid meds, and that is calcium. So in a prior episode, I talked about how I went to the doctor and I was feeling great and everything was fine, and then my lab results came back. And we found out that my thyroid levels were a little higher than they traditionally have been in the past. And while I was at the doctor, my endocrinologist asked me, hey, are you taking any calcium or vitamin D or multivitamin supplements at the same time that you're taking your thyroid meds? And I was like, no, I don't take anything with my thyroid meds. I'm a great patient. I wait an hour before I eat, and then I enjoy my breakfast, and I go along my merry little way. And it didn't dawn on me to really think about what she was asking until I got my lab results back. So she sent me a nice little message through my patient portal. And she said, so your thyroid levels are higher than normal, which I kind of knew something was a little bit off, but I kind of just attributed it to being stressed out because, I had a really big project at work and I'm like, I'm just stressed and tired, but I was wrong. And she told me to just think about the things that I had been eating over the past couple of weeks, or, just look at my supplements. So I went to my cabinet and I opened it and I'm like, well, I only take vitamin B and my probiotic at the moment because it's the summertime and I like to make sure that my energy levels are up, and my probiotic helps my IBS stay at bay, and it also just helps me feel better overall. So this wasn't really the time for me to switch up my vitamins because as the seasons change, my vitamins change to give me that extra boost that I need. So I contacted her back and just let her know, I'm only taking these supplements. I'm not quite sure what she meant in terms of my thyroid levels being higher because of calcium or vitamin D or a multivitamin. So at first, I was upset because I'm like, wait a minute. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm taking my thyroid medicine when I'm supposed to. I'm not eating anything right after I take it. Why are my levels going up? So, naturally, whenever something like this happens, I do get a little upset. But I'm like, wait. Let me just figure something out here. So I pull out my food journal and I pull out my phone. And she told me in the note to follow up in 4 weeks and have my thyroid levels checked, and then we can kind of re-examine things. So what I did was I pulled out my food journal so that I can actually physically write out the things that I was eating, but I also created a template that I could record in my phone in case I left my food journal at home, or if I just thought about something and wanted to record it. I also used the MyFitnessPal app, and in that, I was able to also record the foods that I was eating so that I can see the nutritional content of it. And I also, in my personal notes, wrote up the good things that your thyroid needs, but also the bad things, because I wanted to keep track of it over time. So I gave myself 4 weeks to record all of this information and to really look at what I was eating so that I could determine, okay, is this something I'm eating perhaps that could impact the uptake of my thyroid meds? Because that's the only thing that I could attribute it to. So I did that. And every day I recorded everything I ate. And just a disclaimer, it is a lot and it can be a bit tedious to record everything that you're eating and really stay on top of things. But at the same time, if by recording what I ate could give me an idea of what was going on with me and how it was negatively impacting my body and my health, it didn't matter at that point. So I would get up, I would record the time I took my thyroid medication, and when I ate, I typically have 3 meals a day plus 2 snacks, sometimes 3 because I am training and trying to make sure I'm in shape and healthy. And I would look at that at the end of the day and say, okay, what did I eat today? I recorded my supplements, which I take in the afternoon, and I just looked at everything. And sure enough, after just 1 week of tracking what I ate, I realized that while I'm not taking a calcium supplement or vitamin D supplement or even a multivitamin, the food that I was eating had very high calcium levels in it. So for example, I love eggs. I could eat eggs all day long. I love eggs. And eggs just so happen to be one of those foods that are high in calcium. I eat oatmeal. I love oatmeal. Another thing, high in calcium. I would work out in the morning and then have my protein shake with almond milk. High in calcium. I absolutely positively love almonds. I can eat an entire bag over the course of a day. High in calcium. Yogurt has more vitamin D than milk in some cases, depending on what type of yogurt you get. I like whole milk yogurt because I don't want the extra added sugar that you get from a low-fat brand because they're trying to make it taste better, so they add sugar. And I literally got so upset with myself. But at the same time, I was really happy because I was like, oh, wait, oops, my bad. Maybe my doctor was right in this case. So I spent the next 3 weeks really planning out my meals and making sure that those foods that are very high in calcium, I push those to at least 3 to 4 hours after I ate. And I also had to be really careful too because I would drink calcium fortified orange juice because if my sugar levels dropped en route to work, I would just drink orange juice to kind of get my blood sugar back up, again, not realizing calcium. So I planned out my meals to really be able to visually see how I would structure my meals to make sure that I didn't have a lot of calcium in the morning, but that I really upped that amount later in the day because I didn't want to lose the benefit of having that food in my diet. So I needed to be very strategic about when I had calcium, when I timed my snacks, when I timed my meals. And I really noticed a difference in how I felt. So the next week, I swapped out my almond milk for coconut milk. It still has calcium, just not as much. Again, depends on the brand and how you get it and all that fun stuff. But I really try to be very cautious of the food that I ate. And I tried to switch to sweet potatoes and have a cup of fruit, no oranges. And I really tried to be conscious of how I was pairing food as well, because I didn't want to say, okay, I'm not going to have a very high in calcium meal for breakfast, but I had to make sure that whatever I was pairing it with wasn't one of those calcium-rich foods as well. So I would also get up a little bit earlier as well. So I started getting up around 4:45 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would take my thyroid med right away so that by the time I got to work, that it would be a 3 to 4 hour window. And even if I did decide to have that more calcium-rich food, it was well after that window of when, it's suggested that you take your whatever food or supplement that you're going to have. The other thing that I had to be very careful about too was antacids, because they have calcium carbonate in them. And if my stomach was upset in the morning, say I ate something I wasn't supposed to the night before, or my stomach was just upset, because that happens. So I had to be very careful about that too. And rather than taking the Tums or whatever type of antacid that you want to take, I switched to papaya enzyme. So that way I was still getting those soothing properties that I searched for, but it didn't have that calcium element to it. So these are all of the things that I've been learning over the past couple of weeks as to how I can switch things around, but still make sure that I was getting what I needed. Now the seasons are about to change, and naturally the foods that I eat will change, as well as the supplements that I take, because I know for me that in the fall and the winter time, my vitamin D levels start to decrease significantly. So I have to be very, very careful about that when I'm choosing my meals and choosing the supplements that I take. So one of the things that I can say, particularly if you're new to taking thyroid meds, just be very careful about when you take calcium or antacids, or when you take foods that are high in calcium or a multivitamin. Just be very careful when you take them. So as my doctor recommended, she stated 3 to 4 hours is a good amount of time to when you should space out when you have any type of calcium, whatever, when you're taking your thyroid meds. And for me, I had to get up a little bit earlier so that I could enjoy those types of things. And I also would structure my meals around having a lower calcium breakfast, but increase my calcium levels in foods throughout the day. The other thing to think about is having that food journal so that you can record what you're eating throughout the day. And in the show notes, I will put a sample of my food journal that I kept in my phone, so that way you guys can look at that and fill it in or edit it as you please. And I really, really, really am grateful for this experience, because it really opened my mind to, okay, just because you're in a rhythm and you have things going on that you think that are officially quote unquote ironed out and you have it, your body can say, oh, just kidding. You thought you had a routine? Well, guess what? I'm going to switch it up a bit. And you just have to be very careful with what you're eating and mindful of all of those things. So just to recap, whenever you take your thyroid meds, just be careful about when you're taking any type of supplements. Make sure that you space it out. If you're going to the doctor and they tell you, hey, your thyroid levels are slightly elevated, start a food journal, and maybe you'll be able to really look at what you're eating and what you're taking, and it might be able to give you some insight as to what you can do to change that so that you feel better. And then the last thing that I would recommend is don't get frustrated with yourself if you find that after you've gone to the doctor, your levels are high, because that's just going to make things worse and you're going to feel worse, because it's so easy to beat up on yourself and say, oh man, well, I should have did this and I should have did that, because that's exactly what I did. But I needed to have that data so that I could see what was really going on. And if you're a data-driven person like myself, that really does help you. And The last thing I would say is just be patient, because it's not a quick and easy solution. You really have to look at the big picture and see what you're doing. And you never know, like after you've even gone through, I would give it a 4 to 6 week period of cleaning up your diet and making sure you're doing all of those things, and you will probably notice that you start to feel better. So go ahead, head on over to ebonycolina.com, and you will see the show notes for this episode where I will outline all of the things that I did throughout this period, and maybe it can give you some help or insight. So with that said, I hope you guys have a fantastic day and feel better and get better, and I hope to talk to you soon next week. Bye. Okay, Thyroid Warriors, get out there and take things one step at a time. Remember, be great, reflect on your triumphs, and as always, be well. Take care.